Good morning, boys and girls. How was recess? Good. Oh, you're a little hot. I'm sorry. Well, we have the windows open, so hopefully that will help. Okay, but listen, boys and girls, let's very quietly now get into our groups for guided reading because we have a lot to cover. Okay, yeah. Okay, pink team, you're with me. Okay. Grab a seat quickly. Okay, thank you. Now listen, pink team, I have been very sick, so you have to use your best listening to hear what I'm going to say because my throat has been hurting. So pay close attention and always remember, raise your hands if you have something to say, okay? Okay. So if you will remember, all week we've been talking about weather. Remember? Weather. And we have been talking about different kinds of weather, different clothing, special clothing that we need for different types of weather. What are some of the different types of weather we've talked about so far? Oh, raise your hand. Right, okay, so we've been talking about rainy weather, windy weather, sunny, snowy weather, cloudy weather, and stormy weather. And remember, boys and girls, different weather, we need special types of what? Very good. Clothing, special clothing. And some of the clothing we've talked about is like, rain boots and raincoats when it's rainy. That's right. Sometimes we saw in our picture they have rain hats, but generally if you have an umbrella, you might not need the hat. And we talked about windy weather, you could need a light jacket, but in snowy weather, you may need a heavy, warm coat. Okay. We also talked about that different types of weather happen in different seasons. Who can remember what the 4 seasons are? Raise your hand. Right, okay. There's winter, spring, summer, and fall. And what season are we in right now? Very good, we're in spring. So let's just remember, what's one thing we said you can do, one special activity you can do in each season? Raise your hand. Okay, so in winter, you can play in the snow or you can build snowmen, right? You may need a heavy coat, you're absolutely right. What about in spring? Right, just like in gardening class, you can plant new seeds in the spring, you're right. That was one thing. What's something we can do in summer? Yeah, in the summer, sometimes during the 4th of July, we can watch the fireworks. Or in the summer, since it's very hot, we can play outside. We can swim in the swimming pool. Would I wear a heavy coat in the summer, do you think? No, you're right. Why not? Right, it was too hot. Okay, so our next season was fall. And what is one thing we've been talking about that you can do in fall? Remember our picture cards from yesterday? Right, in the fall, leaves fall. I'm glad you remembered that. So in the fall, the leaves change colors. They're turned red, orange, or yellow, and they fall off the trees. You're right, and you can rake them, you can jump in them, and we also talked about what are 2 types of plants that we can harvest in the fall. No, you're close. Remember apples? Apples are ready to be picked. Remember our trip we took to the apple orchard last fall and you picked the apples? So you can pick apples in the fall and also pumpkins. Very good. We can pick pumpkins in the fall. Okay, boys and girls, so we've done a little review and we've talked about the different types of weather, special clothing for the weather, and different seasons and different activities you can do during different weather. So today, our lesson for today, we're going to talk about how different types of weather feel different to our bodies. So sometimes the weather can feel hot, cold, or warm, and when the way the weather feels is called the temperature. Let's look at that word. Read the letters with me, okay? T E M P E R A T U R E. Very good. Say it with me. Temperature. Excuse me. Okay, so the temperature is a word we use to describe how hot or cold it is. And today we're going to talk about how the temperature feels outside. The next word I'm going to put up here is this word thermometer. Have you ever seen this word before? You know about thermometers? Good. Okay, well, a thermometer is a special tool that we use to measure the temperature. And here, I'm going to put my pictures up. Remember, we always use our picture cards. Right, a thermometer is a special tool we use to measure the temperature. And what did we say? The temperature can feel hot, warm, or cold. So let's look at these 3 thermometers. Each thermometer has this red liquid inside, and when the temperature gets warmer, the liquid rises. You see that? Yeah, okay, so when the temperature gets cooler, what do you think happens to the liquid? You're right, yeah, it moves down. So when the temperature gets warmer or hot, the liquid rises, and when it gets cooler or cold, the liquid goes down. Let's look at this thermometer. Do you think the temperature in this picture is hot or cold? Why do you think that? Yeah, you're right. The liquid is way at the bottom, so the temperature is cold. Very good. Okay, boys and girls, another thing that we need to discuss about the temperature is we need to learn. Remember our story from yesterday where we learned about the temperature? Right, well, I don't have the book with us today, but we can review a little bit. So if you'll remember, before we read, one thing that good readers do is what? What have we been talking about all week? Yes, we look at the title, but what else? Right, remember that big word, we make predictions. A prediction is a guess. Yes, very good. A prediction is a guess. And good readers make predictions before they read. What are 2 clues we use to make predictions before we read? Right, word clues and picture clues. So raise your hand. Let's practice what we've been learning. Raise your hand, someone, and tell me, what is one picture clue you see on our story before we read? Very good. Right, do you see that? Yeah, David. Okay, good job. David noticed that in this picture here, there's a thermometer, and we just learned about thermometers. And there's also a picture of a boy at the beach with a sandcastle and a picture of a girl in the snow playing with a snowman. So that's one picture clue we see. What do you think about those pictures, David? Right, well, David noticed, because we've been learning about weather and different types of weather, that the little girl has on a heavy coat, and it's probably winter. That's a very good observation, because she's doing a special activity we talked about in winter, playing with snowmen. David also noticed there's a boy at the beach playing in the playing with sand, and he thought that maybe it's very hot, because we've learned that in the summer, when you go to the beach, it's very hot. Good, David. What's another picture clue we see? Right, we have a thermometer on the page, and does this thermometer look like the temperature is hot or cold? Hot, you're right, and how do you know? Very good. Yes, the liquid is at the top of the thermometer. Okay, raise your hand, someone, please, and tell me, what is one word clue that we see? Remember, we use picture clues and word clues to make our prediction. Yeah, let's read this title. Use a thermometer. Very good. So, Sally noticed this word clue, use a thermometer. Well, let me think about this. I know that we're learning about thermometers, and thermometers are something we use to tell the temperature. I see with my picture clues that there's different activities going on in different weather. There's a girl in the cold weather and a boy in the hot weather. But I still see my word clue, use a thermometer. So I'm going to make a prediction, boys and girls. I'm going to predict maybe in this story we're going to learn how to use thermometers for different temperatures. What do you think? Yeah, I want to find out if we're right. So boys and girls, another thing good readers do before we read, remember we talked about wondering if anything will happen in the story that we want to find out. So we ask questions before we read. Does anyone have anything they want to find out in the story? Yeah, okay, so let's read. Let's find out to see if my predictions come true and if your questions get answered, okay? Okay, let's read together. Use a thermometer. Okay, boys and girls, that was a really good story. Yeah, I noticed you struggled a little bit with that word thermometer and temperature while we were reading, but that's okay. We're going to have lots of practice with that word, but let's look up on the board again. I'm going to point to the word thermometer. Let's read it together. Thermometer. A thermometer is a special tool we use to measure the temperature. The temperature is how hot or cold something feels, right? Very good. Okay. So, boys and girls, did any of your predictions, did my prediction come true? And how do you know? Right. Well, we learned about thermometers and how to use a thermometer. You're very right. So my prediction did come true. Did any of your questions get answered? Yeah, well, there weren't really any main characters in the story, so that's probably why. Right. Okay. Well, boys and girls, you've been so nice and cooperative and quiet, and we have made it to the end, and now we get to do our activity. So listen for instructions. What's always the first direction when we do an activity? Right. The first direction is always write your name. So I want you to look at this sheet with me before I pass them out. I want you to write your name here at the top. And then do you see each of these pictures? And yeah, they're a little, the one at the top is a little confusing. It's probably an old picture. So let's just talk about these. There's 3 pictures, and the first picture is a girl outside with a snowman. But what else do you notice about this picture? Yeah, the sun's out. Can it be sunny and snowy? Right, it can be, but generally when it's snowy outside, the temperature feels cold. But I guess in this picture, the idea is that the sun is out and the snowman is starting to melt. So that tells me maybe that the temperature is warming up. Right, okay. The next picture is this little boy. He's at the beach. And what do you think the temperature would be like if he's at the beach? Right, it's probably hot. Okay, and then our last picture, it's also winter, but I don't notice any sun. This girl is just ice skating, so it's probably just pretty cold. So I want you to think about those things, and you can also use our thermometer pictures we put on the board of the different hot, cold, and warm temperatures. So you can use that for help. So what I want you to do, you're each going to get a little bag, and there's 3 different thermometers inside. And I want you to look very closely at your picture on the left, and then I want you to decide which thermometer goes with which type of weather, okay? So you have a thermometer in here for hot, cold and warm weather. So go ahead and match which ones you think they go with, and I'll give you some glue, okay? So go ahead and get started. Okay, boys and girls, our time is up now. You've done a really good job today, and I hope you have a good weekend, and we'll do some more review on Monday. We've run out of time today, but we're going to be talking about some very special numbers with our thermometers that are called degrees. So I will talk to you on Monday, and I hope you have a great weekend, boys and girls. Bye.